Yopi Yang is still calmly writing you calmly. The disciple who works as a handyman. The sect didn't even think about it and started asking for 10 silver coins to ask for more money. Dukyo's sister got even angrier after hearing that and pretended that you basically couldn't even know about basic sleeping problems. Duokyo now at this moment. Bending down to look at the book in my hand is not difficult. You choose this introductory level book to go to sleep and practice the essential magic combination to explore. The others heard the name, looked at each other and then discussed this book. This book is not considered difficult, but it is about the problem of the combination of the sleeping and essential magic. The original version is a high-class problem. This honest little brother is about to be dug into a hole by them and then sleeping on the weak magic is too difficult. Duokyo arrogantly began to ask questions in the total number of combinations in the development of sleeping and reforming the Mao-ky combination. What kind of result say it? After asking, she still had a dark and ugly face and thought to herself, prepare to look ugly. Yopi Yang was writing at this moment and looked up slightly. Dukyo's sister is now also smiling crookedly. Quickly say Yopi Yang is not long-winded, just 2 words, answer 36 types. Hearing this, the other 2 girls immediately burst out laughing happily. Then burst out laughing, making Yopi Yang next to her heart skip a beat. Then he looked at them angrily and questioned me, saying they were not sick. Duokyo raised the book in his hand and replied contemptuously. He certainly didn't study properly and pretended to expose 1 to see clearly 72 types of that idiot. Pick 2, pick at the page of the book you are disgruntled and say it again to see clearly your talent. You made a mistake with the topic. You circled the words on the book and then explained the original text as, no, she, si, to ky, to, be, to, be, to boo. The result is completely different. In the crowd waiting for a story, one person spoke up. This young person is really, it's not a simple innovation, that the combination is really 36 types of Duokyo stammering. I saw the wrong word, so she called Jiksa to sleep on Chunginjong Street is also here. Yopi Yang calculated to call 10 silver coins 10 payment. How far away young girls also talk to each other about other people. They really come to research and sleep. These 2 women are too dramatic and self-indulgent. He seems really a bit handsome. I don't know if he has a girlfriend. Duokyo blushes shyly, but still don't give up. You're just lucky to guess 1 question. I want 1 more question. You know the opportunity to make money has come, so increase the price to add this test to 20 silver coins. No bid. 2 young girls, the other, looked at each other and silently discussed through their eyes in case they chose the most difficult topic for him and then saw how wild he would be next. Dukyo's sister turned her back and said these books were all too simple, so I'll go get them. The book is slightly upgraded. Yopi Yang replied whatever she wanted. Then she climbed up the ladder to look for the upgraded version and exclaimed that she found it. In her hand is now a book with a long and difficult title. Holding the book in Dukyo's hand, praised Yopi Yang for doing a good job, and Yopi Yang called out to Big Sister that this book has gone beyond pure sleeping magic and is related to formations. Dukyo's sister at this moment had a black face and threats, but if she couldn't do it, she admitted defeat and found many excuses. Doing something harsh will only make Okyo's sister despise you even more. Yopi Yang continued to draw and then calmly said, I mean the part that goes beyond the sleeping technique needs to be answered and requires more money. Duokyo asked you, but you directly ignored this question plus 30 silver coins. Then turned away. Where do they reach out to demand plus ask me 40 questions first? If you can't answer, I will give it all back to you. Give me your money bag. Duokyo calls shameless anyway. You can't take it for you. Yopi Yang replied, thanking her. She could begin. Opening the book, she began to slyly read the question to hear clearly. This was a complex formation that had been passed down for over 1,000 years. Almost everyone on the street knew it. Then she began to read the first sentences of this battle using Tan Kai as the battle eye. The mysterious image of the gates appeared. Bin Mao Gun Jop was the battle gate. A spiral shape with many characters surrounding it appears in an array pattern that is widely used as a long array. Sometimes sweet and deep. What is this battle called when the 2 battles merge into the ancient and mixed source formation? How should I solve it? After hearing this question, Chunginjong's Jiksa also sweated. Everyone on the street would know that this is a lost and forgotten ancient formation if it weren't for me who has been researching it for many years. There are no more than 100 evil people in this world. This young person absolutely can't answer. Yopi Yang is still silent about his work right now. Dukio's sister despises you, and if you can't answer, you have to admit defeat. Don't waste everyone's time. But contrary to what she wanted, Yopi Yang closed her eyes and said it was too embarrassing because she liked this formation. As soon as she came to this world, she used her limited knowledge and skills to train at level 100 to absorb everything. Formation knowledge. Hands draw eyes and close mouth. Yopi Yang replied that this is actually 2 problems, buy 1 get 1 free. I will be a little more generous to answer for you guys. Along with his words there is also a picture. This 2-color battle uses yin heaven stem and yin earth branch as labels. Each door that Yopi Yang mentioned has a different color form, yang heaven stem and yang earth branch as the door. Then a blinding light appeared in the eyes of the golden water and golden earth formations. After fusing into an absolutely irresistible nuclear formation that interacted and interacted. He thought of the books he had read that continued to talk about this type of formation in history. There are only 7 things that have been recorded. There are only 3 things with the level of this library that can be posted. Naturally there is only one thing, so it's as clear as you want to be clear. He stopped writing and said a vague sentence. This method is called. Then the image of the book in Dukio's hand appeared with the yin and yang ancient killer forbidden soul formation. Immediately carrying it in her hand, and it dropped. 2 sisters with black faces staring at the younger sister, asking, is he wrong? Chunginjiang's Jigsaw thinks so, but that's right, the person next to him called here. How can he answer like that? Duok Yo hasn't given up yet and continues to make things difficult for you, so please solve it. I don't believe you can solve. One person looked at Jigsaw and asked, this person is very powerful, but can he solve it? Jigsaw now had a black face and sweaty face and replied that he couldn't solve it. I have been studying this formation for many years and have consulted many formation masters. No one stronger than me can solve this little girl's heart. But he chose an unsolvable problem for this expert teenager to set a trap for. Yopi Yang turned to Duok Yo and answered without a solution. She was so happy to hear the answer that she couldn't solve it. But at this moment Yopi Yang pushed her chair away and called out to listen to everything first before I said I couldn't solve it. As for you mortals, for me, this formation has 7 loopholes. But as for the solution, there are at least more than 4 ways. Standing opposite the 2 of you, point your finger and listen clearly. I'll tell you the simplest one. 2 people looked at him and thought it was too high. Then 2 people shouted clearly and Chunginjiang's Jigsaw was startled. Was he? At this moment the image of Yopi Yang facing the big letters and the saying, entering the door, Agbuang Thin Can. A battle. The Dharma appeared like a chessboard. 3 forward, 1 backward. Then he immediately turned to the side and looked at Yopiang's position on the dark door of the earth branch, using fire to overcome pliers. With the sentence 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Also change. Next, a glowing letter appeared, moving the door of Duang Thin Can's armor. Then Yopiang's instructions: 3 steps forward. 2 steps of Yang Dia Chi's trade gate. Take wood to overcome earth. Hearing this, Dukio's face became even redder and asked after that. So why? Yopi Yang being helpless with her, are you stupid? Accompanying this step is the image of the formation glowing. Then exploding, with the result that after the core is finished the formation is destroyed and the formation also collapses. Where did I get it from? My sister stammered and asked if he had really answered it. Duok Yo turned black and replied, I didn't know there was no answer in the book. Hearing her sister say that, she clasped her hands together in silence. So maybe he was talking nonsense. Looking behind her, she kept silently pleading with Chunginjiang's master Jigsaw to quickly tell him that he was talking nonsense. This time, the other Jigsaw quickly ran away. He quickly walked around the table and went to Yopi Yang, making that girl secretly happy. Lord Jigsaw can't look at it anymore and wants to liquidate this lying liar. Yopi Yang silently watched him come more and more near. Jigsaw. His face turned black and he snorted fiercely. Yopi Yang turned back to look at him and stammered, asking, what do you want to do? Jigsaw knelt down again, making him widen his eyes. Then he grabbed his fist and begged loudly. I beg the master to accept me as a disciple. This action's success surprised everyone around. Jigsaw said that the master is not only the master of the sleeping act but also the master of this yin-yang ancient killing forbidden soul formation I've been researching for 10 years and still can't find a solution. He cried and cried so exaggeratedly. Today, the master gave me a solution that made me awaken in my mind to a bright and pitiful thing. I'm stupid and sleepy. Give me a chance to find a master and calm my mind to learn the way. Yopi Yang scratched his sweaty cheek and said it's not appropriate. You are a person of Chung-un Zhang. You can't easily betray the Chung-un family. Besides, you're old enough to become a monk. It's not fair for him either. Then reached out and tried to politely help him stand away. Dukio's sister is panicking now, but he's really figured it out. Mom, isn't he just a trash who comes here every day to read novels? Why am I going crazy? He's a great master. We've offended a great person. Yopi Yang turned back to look at the other two people and asked, "Do you still want to say something?" At this moment, Duok Yo knelt down and loudly shouted that I have no eyes. I have misunderstood the master. I am guilty. I am willing to admit defeat. I am willing to be the master's disciple and serve by the master's side. Please give me a chance to atone for this sin. Besides, I am very young. But Yopi Yang replied without mercy. I'm sorry again. Your level and qualifications are too poor to be my disciple. You turned around and left a message saying you're not worthy. Duok Yo received the answer and blushed bewilderedly. First time being insulted, she was so humiliated that she couldn't hold back her emotions. Tears just kept falling along with the words, "You don't deserve it." Yopi Yang took the book she wrote and walked out. On a crowded street with people chatting happily and objectively inside. Please bring me fruit. Fresh fruit. Give me this brooch. Very quickly you passed by a very crowded place called Unsohi. Unsohi is so beautiful. Everyone was discussing a beautiful woman. She appeared again. Unsohi is truly the #1 dancer. Jaewon Gook is so crazy about it. At this time one person shouted loudly. Everyone, brothers, give me a reward. Yopi Yang couldn't help but admire so many people. Then he decisively turned around and left and never came back. This time, Sosio's magic class is definitely hiding again. At this time Unsohi, also known as Sohi, danced and thought of everything the big sister said. Revitalizing Mu Jong-gook needs more and more to collect Sosio. Why should I go down the mountain to dance and get quick money? Thinking of her leisurely appearance, she regretfully could only return to dancing, and unfortunately the master only knew how to fight if he really knows how to make money, so I can stay comfortably in the house. Behind Unsohi dancing there is a monk. Her hair just flutters with the wind. Yopi Yang walks without forgetting to pay attention to the dancer. #1 sounds a bit odd. Walking away from that crowded place he exclaimed, but it was too tight and couldn't get in. What a pity. Unsohi's hands danced softly. The whole body swayed to the music. The onlookers blushed looking at this moment. There are guys wearing strange hoods. A leader puts his hand on the people's shoulders and orders them to move away. The person who was patted on the shoulder angrily turned around and said to someone. But they didn't care and pushed. Pushing makes others uncomfortable. Who let you get in front? Get out. Unsohi, who was dancing, also noticed below. The leader of the people wearing a cloak spoke up. Unsohi is bothering to come with us on a trip. We need you. Great guy. Her skills. A guy who doesn't know how to be gentle comes forward and shouts loudly and insolently. Kings and nobles can't invite Unsohi to offer his skills alone. What do you think it is? A big guy who doesn't know how to be aggressive and aggressively steps forward to avoid Unsohi far away. But when he said the word, bamboo lotus was attacked. Another attack that made him fly away. And then fall on the ground with 3 huge holes. Others looked at this scene and were surprised. Both were confused. Then some people ran away. Others trembled and called out demons. Demons are so scary. The master stood up and looked towards them, thinking to himself that demons have a cruel personality. Fairy, run quickly. The demon leading the small but very scary. Have you thought carefully? If you don't go, what will happen to the people around you? Unsohi had no other choice but trembled and cried out not to harm anyone. Sin. I'll follow you guys, but before I go I have one last thing to say. Then she used all her strength to scream, Master, save me. Yopi Yang was startled and immediately turned around. You stood there and began to judge for yourself. Is this the voice of that disciple of mine? turned around and ran back in the same direction. He secretly thought to himself that this lazy worm has gone down the mountain. Very quickly Yopi Yang took the book with her. The book ran around. He looked at the surrounding situation and couldn't help but wonder where my disciple was. A bruised and injured citizen looked up and replied that those demons had made Unsohi go to the north door. Yopi Yang looked at him after hearing this, looking thoughtfully. What are those demons taking my disciples for? The person just now stood up holding his hands and started talking. These demons are hiding their bad breath. Unsohi can't go back anymore. Yopi Yang quickly went to get the tree. Reassure peace of mind. One hand holding the guitar and one hand holding the book. You walk, my disciple, I will find you again at every corner of the horizon. The scene quickly moved to the Rocky Mountain area. The demons carried Unsohi and ran away. The crowd of people carrying weapons chased after them, shouting demons to quickly put Unsohi down. The demons quickly stopped at a high rocky mountain. The leader looked at the crowd and then asked in a low voice, "Do you idiot want to die?" The people were not afraid to see them screaming and invading Hasa Citadel. "You're so brave to capture humans and demons. Immediately return the captured people to us." Demons take the lead right away. But it's like encountering a joke. It's not the demon extermination army that dares to chase us. You're the big guys. Mr. Three's real courage killed them all. Then the demon called him and grabbed Mr. Three's coat. He threw it off and jumped down laughing loudly and happily gave it to me. Mr. Three moved very fast. It seemed like we could only see shadows. The people below could only raise their eyes and stare blankly. Then very quickly there was a person targeted by a demon. That person was pulled away very quickly, only having time to cry out something, "Save lives." Very soon Old Man 3 laughed loudly and quickly arrested people. Looked at him sticking out his long tongue to lick the faces of the people. The demon took the lead, calling to stop your disgusting hobby and go kill them. Old Man 3 stuck out the long tongue stretched out and then agreed. No problem. 1 second resolved. At the same time there was a sound of a piano emitted by Yopi Yang. The demon leading the sound was sensitive to the sound and immediately startled. Then he turned around and shouted loudly, came up to ask who it was. Yopi Yang sat on the cliff in the distance and praised it well. Finally found me and gave me back to myself so I could think of giving you a chance to live. The leading demon saw you, laughed out loud and scornfully. It turns out you are the trash sect leader who likes to blow up the rumors. Why are you prepared to spare us a way to live? It's a pity I don't intend to let anyone leave here alive. After that, he immediately ordered Mr. Three's subordinates to clean up the scene first. Then deal with this stupid guy. Hearing the old man's order, 3 jumped out like a clone to attack people's bodies. The people now turned around and ran as fast as they could run to save their lives. Surprisingly, Yopi Yang reached out and attacked a sound. That sound affects demons. It also affects people. So dizzy I'm about to vomit, and this person's voice is so hard to hear that my soul is about to fly away. And then one person realizes that he's not playing the soul-separating melody with the effect of dizziness for this young pianist. After all, what is the background? The leader saw that his men were absent, so quickly shouted, "Old 2, Old 4, quickly wake up." He quickly realized something was wrong. This person is strange. Old 3, kill him. Old 2, go back up for Old 3. Hearing that, the second old man also took off his cloak and rushed forward, leaving it there for go. He aimed straight at the place near Yopi Yang sitting, then used all his strength to open his mouth wide to integrate energy. Yopi Yang didn't need to look to recognize their actions and wanted to use their roar to counter my sound. You geckos played again, creating a large amount of energy, and asked if they were stupid. The energy from that group quickly hit the second man. In other words, he was sent flying back screaming in pain. Several other demons also quickly ran up to support my crazy brat 3 to finish you off. They all aimed at where Yopi Yang was sitting. He quickly played the guitar again, and the sound of the guitar rang out straight towards the old man 3. Each stream of light passed through the body of each demon. High in the sky, each sound densely erupting. The leading demon saw the situation and blurted out that Old Man 3 was dead. Yopi Yang didn't even bother to look at them and asked but wanted to withdraw his hands. His response was a demonic voice screaming, ordering me to use your special move to kill him and avenge me. That roar flew very quickly towards Yopi Yang. He also quickly strummed the guitar to counterattack. 2 streams of sound power were released. Then they immediately faced each other. The old demon has it seemed that in a much weaker position. The sound of the second old man's technique quickly became louder. Then he was attacked by Yopi Yang and screamed. The whole land was destroyed after that attack. The space was covered by thick white smoke. And that smoke rose from the deep hole. The people chased and exclaimed in surprise, "Oh my God." The people injured by the demon were now very surprised if the thing in his hand was a guitar or a firecracker. The fairy's master just took action. I'm even more convinced that Unsohi came from the sky. Yopi Yang leisurely sat there and calmly asked if he was dead yet. The leading demon has successfully been angered by you. You rotten boy, you're fooled. The 4th demon also took off his cloak and laughed loudly. The leader called the 4th is the real killer of old 4th. Now jump up and die. The people could not help but worry when they saw the situation. They were most afraid of close combat. The 4th old man swung his fist out and punched Yopi Yang without even bothering to look and raised his hand to punch back. This one punch of yours was as powerful as a demon. Soon the 4th old man was torn apart by Yopi Yang's true energy. On the sky was so high that his flesh and blood were torn apart and he fell continuously. Then there was a loud explosion. The obstacle was finished. Yopi Yang said to the leader, "Now it's your turn." The leading demon was very angry hearing that angry and threatening arrogant humanity. Do you believe that I killed your disciple first? But when he returned, Unsohi ran away like a caterpillar. The people saw that and yet they were able to praise him. Which is amazing. The first dancer even teleported and ran away with the feeling of such awe. The leading demon jumped high and shouted loudly to come here for me. But very quickly a beam of light emitted from behind him. After then there was another huge explosion. People covered their faces from the shock and wondered why this young man who suddenly appeared was so powerful. From the white smoke a horn appeared. The demon moved very fast. It successfully caught one person. He swung the other person high in the air, making the people scream. The head demon was extremely angry near the stupid and weak human voice. I have to eat all of you. The people running and dodging attacks while discussing the swallows, sun geckos, swords, spears, water, fire, and lust are super demons. Everyone, run quickly. This monster has gone crazy. That demon just turned around and made a loud noise. Wherever its tail swung, people flew there. Some people were even blown away and broke large rocks behind another guy's back, directly causing the rocky mountain to be broken in half. Yopi Yang raised his hand and rubbed his chin, thinking that this worm has rough skin and thick meat. The sound of the piano is normal, but it can withstand a bit of meaning when a demon approaches. Unsohi was scared and blew and screamed, "Come here, master saved my life." Very quickly the situation is now a giant gecko chasing a small girl. The head demon opened his mouth and roared loudly. Yopi Yang quickly used the spiritual energy of his hand, broke the strings of the guitar. The strings quickly flew towards the demon, circling the lover every second, making it unable to move. Yopi Yang held the other end of the string to control it. The demon gecko roared, try to keep the skin area. Yopi Yang, up high and be good enough to speak up and warn you not to use the skin area. It's a waste of effort. It's useless. The controlled demon refuses to listen and keeps struggling to let me go. After a while, without being noticed, it was so fierce that you forced me to make a move. Yopi Yang didn't pay any attention and blurted out his infatuation. Then he stretched out his hand again and strummed the strings, quickly tightening them, causing the demon to be injured too. The demon gecko was cut into many pieces by a few strings. It roared but had almost no effect. Then a huge explosion broke out. After the white smoke gradually dissipated, there was only again the pieces were broken. Everyone who witnessed this situation was surprised and asked if it wasn't the knife and spear that couldn't penetrate. Why did it just cut out like that? Unsohi saw Yopi Yang approaching and immediately asked his master to help him quickly remove it. But she didn't. Yopi Yang looked at Unsohi and asked this lazy little worm who let her sneak down the mountain to sell turmeric. She replied that it wasn't even for the poor. Followed by the image of Yopi Yang carrying her on his shoulders and leaving. Your master hasn't untied me yet. You call me this as a warning for me sneaking down the mountain. looking at their backs as they leave. The people are talking excitedly. My master is indeed a god. Did the fairy want to return to heaven? Maybe. At this time in the demon domain, a demon flew to the crazy demon to inform the Lord to directly bring back the ritual of that secret object. The little demon also announced when he announced it. Ma Guang stammered and had no way to act. Ma Guang shouted why. The little demon trembled in response to the intelligence sent to Vu Nun Te Tu, which was even more stressful than the gecko high priest personally going to Hasa City to choose someone. People also did it to the point of dividing it into 7. Ma Guang heard this and realized that this road was no longer passable. Thunder and lightning fell from the sky. He said maybe we should personally go to Hasa City for a trip, find that human thief to retrieve the secret related to our clan's destiny. Mu Zhong Guk looks very dark at night. At Infinity Palace, there is a voice coming out at an extremely loud volume. Mu Zhonguk's temple mastery competition is about to start. Yopi Yang smiled happily, her mouth watering, and asked everyone to prepare. Not yet. He sat among his disciples excitedly calling out all of your bravery. Mei Ro brought out a jar of wine, then introduced the bar owner who brought a jar of wine. The master said to have wine as well, delicious food. She closed her eyes and turned to her fellow sisters to announce that during the competition, the winner would have the opportunity to go to the hot springs with her master for a month. Hearing this, the sisters looked at each other, staring at the hot spring. Anyu sat to the side sadly at the kitchen and was disqualified from participating. People wanted to bathe in the hot spring with Master Yopi Yang and patted her head and said you were too strong. Mei Ro raised her hand and continued talk more about the voting standard requirement, which is the master's taste in a subject with limited budget. There can only be one winner, then announce now the contest starts. Socio shyly brought out a plate of food and called me came before Socio. When he opened the lid, Yopi Yang was ready to taste the manjum. Just ate a bite and his face turned black and he cried out salty to death. Then couldn't stand it anymore, so he spat it all out. Mei Ro coughed lightly after that, announced out of fruit Socio can't cook even if he doesn't know how to cook. Because of soaking in the master's hot water. They tried to be the next person. The second round was the papaya sisters. They brought out the food together and said in unison. Sisters of the same tribe numbed the Kim. They placed the food on the table with excitement. Master, drink it while it's still hot. But when opening Yopiang's top secret bone stew soup, there was. Looking at that dish, Mei Ro understood and announced that the master refused to drink this black soup. The next person. The third dish that was offered looked so beautiful along with cherry cake. Yopi Yang was so happy when she saw it that her mouth was watering. Finally there was real food. The person who made it was Miss Nam Guan. She shyly asked me to make breakfast. Not sure if it would suit my master's taste. No. Yopi Yang finished eating and gave a thumbs up, praising that the standard on earth is already a top-class restaurant. Socio on the side looked hungry too. Picked up a chicken leg and tried it. Yopi Yang commented that Rochong's flour chicken was also no crispy on the outside, soft on the inside with a wonderful earthy aroma. The chicken plate that was placed on the table still radiates a delicious aroma, Rochong replied. Very complimented. It's the lady's turn, Rochong, to cook the dish, she explained. Before I was in the army. Just know that the master doesn't criticize it. The noodle in the hot bowl, Yopi Yang asked in surprise. The instant noodles. Yopi Yang awkwardly sweating uncomfortably, saying this reminds me of the days of working overtime. Trache girl Ungsohi rubbed it. The graceful hand seduced the white instant noodles with no seasoning. But in my heart, the master chose me when the hot spring could provide the dream of being far away from home. A word that was hard to say. He replied resolutely not to eat. Felt the master, I'm so annoying. Anyu wondered. So who has such a good fate and can finally travel with the master to soak in the hot springs? After a while of choosing, Yopi Yang solemnly announced that I declare. Infinite space, quietly waiting for the results. After a tense moment, Yopi Yang decided there was no winner. All participants sighed in boredom. Suddenly you made a second surprise announcement, but I will lead. Everyone went to the hot springs. Anyu next to him was startled by his decision and explanation. While Nung Yak's soul was in seclusion and no one was taking care of the money so he could hang out comfortably, or the atmosphere suddenly became extremely bustling. Anyu was so excited that she jumped up and down in agreement. Not only Anu but everyone happily shouted in unison for long live the master. The crow perched on the wooden bar saw the gloomy figure and said to Nung Yak's soul she had to come out quickly, this mandarin is too crazy. The character whose name was just mentioned, Nung Yak's soul, is trying to sneeze. In the cultivation space, Nung Yak's soul strangely encourages himself. I have to concentrate a bit. Nung Yak's soul to focus on cultivating with the goal of quickly leaving the customs. Meet master soon. Nung Yak's soul fan Oyang Noe put his chin on his hand and lamented that I just went to a hot spring or something. I have to stay here and watch over my sister. But if I could soak in the hot spring with my sister. Think of the prospect of being together taking a bath with your idol. Life's happiness is too perfect. Right? At night in a room with the lights still on. A little fox lies on a pile of straw and talks in his sleep. While sleeping Yopi Yang, I also want to soak in the hot spring. At the hot spring place. Romantic space with water flowers in the bath area emitting smoke. Famous for Beck Bai alone bathing in the hot spring. The fox's face shining with joy, mumbling contentedly. It's so tasteless. In Hasa, the city lights are on. The players are ready to go out. The scene is moving to 3 Jiang Pub. Inside there are 2 batches of employees talking to each other. Today is the first anniversary in the year of 3 Jiang Pub. Cheap and free wine. Someone in the distance shouted for more bottles of wine. The girl carrying the wine couldn't help but be angry with Yopi. The sect master named Yopi. Whether he eats or drinks or not. But he's not here. It's strange that the young man with the spiky hair heard someone insulting his idol and objected to his brother Yopi. I've been busy teaching his female disciple to become successful lately and haven't had any free time. Seeing that, the girl still continues to argue with him. The weakest man in this pub. What can you teach your disciples to teach them to pretend to be dead? Another female scholar who was drinking alone also spoke up on such an important day. Yopi's sect leader and the bookworm are both not here. It still feels like something is missing. The person sitting next to them on her side. She also happily pointed out a point that the young lady didn't see right through that kid. The elder really likes to joke. The brothers who were drinking nearby enjoyed telling me that the elder and I were of the same opinion. Suddenly, there were 2 people outside the door making a mess. The staff was a bit awkward and said sorry. Today, the restaurant is celebrating its 1-year anniversary and only welcomes regular customers. But before he could finish the sentence, the other guy loudly threatened to get out. Without waiting for the employee to respond, he gave him a powerful move that sent him flying straight into the wall like a punching bag. This terrible destructive power made Peng Ho can only stare wide-eyed. Then he turned his spike head back to check who was doing the rash. Not only you but everyone in the bar were shocked at what had just happened. Those 2 guys wearing tight black robes were acting like a brat or went to report them, loudly calling out, "Your boss is here." With just one slap from one of the 2 guys, it was possible to confirm that this senior brother went home to eat porridge instead of rice. The other person was also indescribably angry. He shouted loudly. Suddenly he was silent as before. Saw something very terrible. It turned out to be Jian Ma and Guang Ma. They exuded extremely intense murderous aura and said there was no way to hide. The owner of the shop, get out of here, so we'll kill everyone here first. Li Goyang quickly rush out to block him. The boss will go out. If you guys in Hasa become indiscriminately killing people, don't expect to leave easily. Having said that, she immediately turned